I want to introduce to the House the Freedom of Information Oversight of the Office of the President Amendment Bill 2018. This bill will amend the Freedom of Information Act 2014 to allow for the Office of the President of Ireland to be subject to Freedom of Information requests. From the outset, I should say, Ceann Comhairle, that in 2014, the then Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, Brendan Howlin, amended our Freedom of Information legislation in ways that has helped to shine a light on the operation of politics and the spending of public money in this state. We welcomed that at the time, and of course it was a positive move because we need to see the highest levels of accountability and transparency. However, at the same time, he exempted the Office of the President from such requests. We know that constitutionally, the President is not answerable to either the Houses of the Oireachtas or the courts, although this right is not absolute, as the President can be investigated and impeached by the Oireachtas if needs be. However, saying that, the President is answerable in our view to the public, and there is no reason why the President should not make public what he or she does with public funds. We don't believe there is any constitutional impediment to the Office of the President being subject to an FOI. In reality, it would be an accounting officer or management in Oireachtas that would be responding to FOI requests, and not the President himself or herself, whoever holds the office. So in our view, there is absolutely no reason why this is the case. It should be the case. Having information made publicly available about the Office of the President for his or her expenses, and the President being answerable to the Oireachtas for what that information reveals, are in our view two different things. The FOI Act itself is about transparency, and there should be transparency when it comes to the spend of all taxpayers' money. The public have a right to know. Journalists and members of the public and organisations have a right also to ask questions and to get responses. And it is the case that since the Act has been put into place, there has been numerous requests by journalists to get information in relation to the spend of the Office of the President. And each and every occasion when a request is made, it's denied because of the exemption in the Act. And this isn't about the incumbent, it isn't about the person who currently holds the office, it's about whether or not this should be the case. And this has come up because of the work of the Public Accounts Committee, which recently examined the spend in relation to the Office of the President's account. And one of the issues that did transpire and did arise was that it is also not subject to FOI. So I don't believe that's right. The idea that millions in public monies that the President receives is somehow exempt from public scrutiny is, in our view, a throwback to days when public accountability wasn't seen in the way it should have been. And there is a fundamental philosophy here that the public, the people who put us into these positions, including the people who will elect a president and who elect presidents, do have a right to know, do have a right to information. And no information should be secret. No information should be kept from the public. No information should be outside the purview of journalists, of politicians, and of people who have a job and a responsibility to hold people to account. Whether that's the Controller and Auditor General, the Public Accounts Committee, the Dáil committees, the courts, or indeed members of the public. And I accept, in terms of the President's roles and duties, there is a clear separation of power between the Oireachtas and the President himself or herself. We all accept that. But there is, in my view, absolutely no impediment whatsoever to the Office of the President and all of the spending that goes with that being subject to the Freedom of Information Act. I don't know why Minister Howlin exempted the President's office at that time. Maybe it was advice from the Attorney-General or not, I don't know. But I believe it was wrong, and I believe it should be corrected. And here's an opportunity to correct it. So I'm appealing to parties across across this House, all parties, to support this bill. We believe it's important. It has been an issue in terms of public scrutiny, that people believe it should be subject to FOI. In my view, I think it's the right thing to do. And as I said, I'm appealing for support for the bill, and I formally move the bill at first stage.